If you are over 50 and you feel like belly fat shows up faster and leaves slower than it used to, you are not imagining it. And it is not just getting old. There is actual science behind why this happens after 50. More importantly, there is real research showing exactly what works to reverse it. In this video, I will walk you through 5 real studies, not opinions, not influencer tips. These studies show what actually reduces belly fat after 50. By the end, you will have a clear, doable plan. Welcome back. If you're new here, this channel is all about longevity and wellness backed by real research, made simple for real life. No extremes, no 30-day miracle promises. If you like this no-nonsense approach, make sure to hit subscribe. Today we are tackling one of the most requested topics, belly fat after 50. Let's start with why this happens in the first place. Here is what is going on under the surface. After 50, 3 things shift at the same time. Hormone levels change. For women, declining estrogen after menopause is linked to fat redistributing toward the abdomen rather than the hips and thighs. For men, declining testosterone has a similar effect. It nudges fat storage toward the midsection. At the same time, you are naturally losing muscle mass. Muscle is metabolically active tissue. This means less of it slows down how many calories your body burns at rest. Finally, the fat you do gain after 50 is more likely to be visceral fat. That is the kind that wraps around your internal organs rather than the fat just under your skin. Visceral fat is also the kind most strongly linked to heart disease, type 2 diabetes, and inflammation. So, losing belly fat after 50 genuinely is a different challenge than it was at 30. The good news is that it is also one of the most well-studied areas in health science. Let us go through 5 studies that actually move the needle. The first study might surprise you because it has nothing to do with diet or exercise. Researchers analyzed data from the National Health and Nutrition Examination Survey, a large U.S. health database. They published their findings in the journal Sleep Medicine in 2023. They measured visceral fat directly using body scans in thousands of adults. Then they compared it to how much sleep each person reported getting. The finding was striking. Shorter sleep duration was consistently associated with significantly higher visceral fat in both men and women. This was true even after accounting for diet, alcohol, and overall body weight. Interestingly, the benefit leveled off around 8 hours a night. Sleeping more than that did not add extra fat loss benefit. The takeaway here is simple, but often ignored. If you are optimizing your diet and exercise, but consistently sleeping 5 or 6 hours, you are working against yourself. Sleep is not a nice-to-have in this equation. It is an active player in where your body stores fat. The second piece of research is a 2023 review that pooled results from 40 separate clinical trials. It looked specifically at the effect of calorie-controlled eating on visceral fat. Across this large body of evidence, people who followed a structured, calorie-reduced approach to eating consistently lost more visceral fat than those who did not change their intake at all. This will not shock anyone, but it confirms something important. You cannot outwalk or outlift a calorie surplus when it comes to visceral fat specifically. Diet quality matters, but so does the math of energy in versus energy out. For most adults over 50, that does not mean starvation-level dieting. It means a moderate, sustainable reduction paired with the next study. This next study explains why diet alone is not the full answer. This third study is especially relevant because the research was done specifically on adults over 50. A clinical trial run by the University of Alabama at Birmingham, registered with the National Institutes of Health, recruited men and women over 50 with obesity. This included postmenopausal women. The study tested 2 strategies during weight loss: a higher protein eating plan versus a structured resistance training program. Then, they looked at what each approach did for preserving lean, fat-free mass. The core issue this study addressed is one I touched on earlier. When adults over 50 lose weight through diet alone, A meaningful portion of what is lost is muscle, not just fat. That is a problem, because losing muscle lowers your metabolism even further, making long-term fat loss harder. The researchers found that combining adequate protein intake with resistance training during weight loss helped preserve that muscle far better than diet changes alone. In plain terms, if you are cutting calories without lifting anything heavier than a coffee cup, you are likely losing some of the very tissue that helps keep your metabolism working in your favor. Here is a study that answers a question almost everyone asks. Once you lose belly fat, how do you keep it off? Researchers followed women after a significant weight loss of around 12 kilograms. Then, they tracked what happened to their visceral fat over the following year. Participants were grouped by whether they kept up aerobic exercise, resistance training, or did no structured exercise at all. The result was clear. Those who stuck with either aerobic or resistance training saw their visceral fat stay down. This was true even at a modest amount, around 80 minutes per week. Meanwhile, the non-exercising group saw visceral fat creep back even before total body weight fully returned. This is one of the most practical findings in this entire list. Exercise is not just for losing the fat in the first place. It is what keeps it from quietly returning. The fifth study is a large meta-analysis pooling data across dozens of randomized controlled trials. It compared aerobic training, resistance training, and a combination of both for their effects specifically on abdominal fat. The pattern that emerged was interesting. Both aerobic and resistance training reduced abdominal fat on their own. But combined programs that included both consistently produced the most favorable results overall. So, if you have been wondering whether to choose cardio or weights, the research suggests you do not have to choose. They work through different mechanisms. Together, they outperform either one alone. Let us bring all 5 studies into one simple plan. Prioritize 7 to 8 hours of sleep. It is not optional. Create a moderate, sustainable calorie deficit rather than an extreme one. Make sure protein is part of every meal, especially while you're in a calorie deficit. Include resistance training at least twice a week to protect your muscle. And combine that with regular aerobic activity. Even brisk walking counts. Do this both during active fat loss and afterward to keep the results. None of this requires extremes. It requires consistency. And now you know it is backed by real evidence. If this helped clarify what actually works, hit subscribe. I break down the real research behind longevity and wellness every week, so you don't have to sort through the noise yourself. Drop a comment and let me know which of these 5 findings surprised you the most. See you in the next video.